Executive session of the Wayne Board of Education work session meeting of February 5th, 2026 was convened in the conference room of the Administrative Office of the Wayne Board of Education, 50 Nellis Drive, Wayne, New Jersey. Statement of compliance setting forth date, time, location was read with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act. The roll call was taken. The meeting was recessed, being now reconvened. We stand for the flag salute, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Good to see you. This week we honor our school counselors, and we have a proclamation for them. Resolved that the Wayne Board of Education recognizes February 2nd through February 6th, 2026 as National School Counseling Week. Whereas school counselors are employed in the public and private schools to help students reach their full potential. And whereas school counselors are actively committed to helping students explore their abilities, strengths, interests, and talents as the traits related to the career awareness and development. And whereas school counselors help families focuses on ways to further the academic, career, and social emotional development of their children. And whereas school counselors work with teachers and other educators to help students explore their potential and set realistic goals for themselves. And whereas school counselors seek to identify and utilize community resources that can enhance and contemplate comprehensive school counseling programs and help students become productive members of society. And whereas comprehensive school counseling programs are considered an integral part of the educational process that enables all students to achieve success in schools. Therefore, we, the Wayne Board of Education, do hereby recognize February 2nd through February 6th, 2026 as National School Counseling Week.
Thank you. Just to our exceptional school counselors, we celebrate you, your contributions to our students and our community. We want to express our sincere gratitude to your dedication and timeless commitment to our students. We're very fortunate here in Wayne to have your commitment, and we're fortunate to have your professional work as counselors to support our school community in times of need, and as you help our students to dream big in planning the next steps of their lives. Your professional skills and passion to help others is essential to the success of our students and the well-being of our community. So on behalf of our district, I say thank you wholeheartedly to our school counselors. One of the things I want to inform the board and the public of that Relay for Life is coming up again this year. They had their kickoff event on the 4th at Wayne Valley High School, but it was students from both Hills and Wayne Valley there. I was able to attend the event, and it was a wonderful way to get the theme going. I purchased a t-shirt, and Daisy was there as well, and she had a great time. And then we went over to Wayne Valley Wrestling, and the tough match against Hackettstown. Our team fought back, but we still didn't come up on top of a lot of perseverance and commitment from those students. But I also want to inform the public that on the agenda tonight you'll see this our district goals. We met as a board at the end of January. We had our retreat, and we reviewed 3 goals in which we'd like to present to the public tonight. One in the area of a thorough and effective academics, that we provide all a high-quality education aligned with New Jersey student learning standards that provides student achievement, career readiness, and continuous improvement. Our second goal will be around our facilities, to maintain safe, secure, and well-maintained facilities that support enrollment, effective learning, effective teaching, learning and district operations. And the last area is in the area of budget efficiency, to ensure responsible, transparent use of financial resources by aligning and spending our district priorities, increasing fixed operation costs, and long-term fiscal stability. Thank you, and that concludes our report. I know there's a few other things that we'll go over today.
Thank you. All right, district audit. Andrew.
I will start by introducing myself. Kathy should be walking in probably just as I start.
And then we'll tell them you just finished.
I have the whole report, but she's going to go through it tonight. So I guess what I'll start by doing is I'll introduce myself. I know I haven't been here with you all before, but my name is Andrew Kaczynski. Kathy is actually, she retired as a partner at the end of 2025. She's still with us and she's still doing a lot of work with us. So we're kind of transitioning things. So just so you all know a little bit about me, I've been here for about 20 years. I've done several school audits. You're in very good hands. But I'll let Kathy take it away with the financials because it's her report this year. You guys will be treated to the Andrew show next year, I promise you that.
Don't step too far away. Anyway, I apologize for the several minute delay. It happens, I'm sorry.
He's been talking for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Just about himself too, right?
Andrew and I share the same birthday,
Me too.
so we're a lot alike. So anyway, I believe I sent over to Ginny the little report that I do, and again, it's the accountant's version, what I take away from the 185 pages of the audit. I don't need to go over every single item, but I always show you the components of fund balance from 2025, the current year that we audited, and the previous year. You were up $2.9 million, and most of that was deposited into the capital reserve. So again, the smaller, we give you the big cap ACFR, which is the financial report, and then we have the management report. And in the management report is the state's calculation of what the excess surplus is. So it's the adjusted expenditures for the year, 2%, and then if you had extraordinary aid and non-public transportation aid that you didn't budget and that year came in excess, they award that. The applications go in the end of May. I think the awards come out in May or June or July. Cash comes in the summer, so that's one place where the state says, okay, you got the award late, so you can carry any of those excess funds over. So with that, again, the $2.9 million change, you're very fortunate. I was a little surprised. So at the end of the day, there was $3.2 million left over from the budget, but you also had some encumbrances at the end of the year, 285. So the unexpended balances, once those purchase orders roll, and they were most likely liquidated in 25-26, left you with about 1.5% of your budget. So 2-3 million sounds like a big number, but in relation to the size of this district's budget, it's a warning. And it's not an administrative warning. It's the way the economy has gone since coming out of the pandemic. And so back when the pandemic started, the extraordinary aid rates were up, they doubled. And so we kept warning everybody, be careful, be careful, be careful, because although you have more kids, you might have more eligible costs, they may reimburse a lot less. So what you did was, again, you reduce your reliance on that X aid, and so you have $1 million that's getting added to your 2%, which is a good financial mechanism. Another thing that I've been saying for years is removing fund balance from the revenue source for the budget has been a very good thing, because once you do that, you have to regenerate it. And so not having to have that pressure on the budget is good. What I remind you of is each year, we don't audit the budget per se. We don't make sure that everything in it is sufficient. It's an administrative function. The budget's reviewed by the county for certain dynamics of it. They look at the position control roster. But with that, we looked at June 30th of 25. You're already more than halfway through 25-26, and you're planning 26-27. And so because there have been so many changes in administrative positions, this is when we really try to be in close conversation with each other to know what's going on. You do have quite a few things going on. You have ROD grants going on, and for the life of me, many years have gone by, and I said, why in the world are they called ROD grants? They're like red regular something districts. Odd, but anyway, you do have them. You have a number of them in 530, and you also have now the preschool expansion through the PCIA. So you have a lot of things going on. We have a lot of knowledge. You can come up here next to me, Andrew. We have a lot of knowledge about that, and that's what we do. We share it. And knowing that there have been a lot of changes, I think it's just really important to stay in communication, pick up the phone, talk to Ginny several times since she's been in that spot, so welcome back to Wayne. So with that, I think that was the important part in terms of the finance. And then as of June of 25, you had $3.8 million in your capital reserve, which is good, but you haven't had a referendum in 20 years, and you've been funding all your capital and maintenance and your operations with a 2% limit. And we say, you know, it's just been difficult because when the caps went off the salaries, the salary contracts were negotiated well above 2%, they're like 3. I think the average now, what I've been hearing from a lot of districts is 3.5, 3.6. So doing that and only getting a 2% bump in taxes, it's very difficult to do. And the capital reserve for Wayne should probably be a lot more. So the whole idea there, and we talk about it each year, is if all the reserves were at the levels that we would love to see, and it's not easy, it's like pie in the sky wishing, but I think you're doing a pretty good job, is that the capital reserve would be used for projects that are not T&E and eligible for state aid. So the referendum that you presented and didn't pass, and a referendum that you'll be probably doing in the near future, is all the financial advisors will say, put in the projects that get state aid so that you get that 40% from the state, and then the district is only funding 60%, which is well enough. In the maintenance reserve, you ended the year with 4.443, and since this date of June 30th, you had a couple of withdrawals. You had a resolution in November and another one in December. So today, you're looking at 4.3. Then I listed all the balances in the capital projects, so you have quite a few. It's a very active fund, and I make little jokes because I was representing many school districts for the firm, and you made it to F1S, from F1, F1A, lots of projects, lots of things going on. But as far as our firm, we hold a lot of hands. As soon as a referendum's authorized, as soon as a ROD grant is out, it's show me the money, show me the contract, show me the agreements, and we talk it through, just to make sure that everything is set up and that you're good to go. With the food service fund, let's take a look here. Your operating expenditures were up $116,000. Your subsidies were down about $91,000. Would have thought daily sales, well, the increase from year to year, because the student lunch prices were raised in the year 24. So that was to get you in compliance with the Department of Agriculture rules. But those rules are very conflicting, so they say you cannot exceed a certain number in net cash resources, which is basically your assets minus your liabilities. There are some things they exclude from it. And I think I made a comment, we have a comment in the management report, and we had no recommendation that that number is about 1.1 million over. It was very difficult. Again, the subsidies were way up through the pandemic. They were coming out with rules, again, just never knowing which way you can go, saying you can't use that money for anything that doesn't benefit everyone, because it was for low-priced lunches, reduced and free-priced lunches. So the state offered some directive on that as to what it could be used for, but we'll definitely keep that in Ginny's mind when she has a moment to breathe. I know budget is now everyone's focus for the next month or so. So we ended the year in food service with $1.6 million of net position. That's great. Extended day program ended with $160,000 in net position. There's not a whole lot of change there, but there are salaries that are charged there, so part of the pension for PERS is allocated there. It's a nuisance because it's important to me to demonstrate how you operated on an operational basis, things you could control. But am I right that it was contracted out for 26, and so this should not be an issue, so we're gonna make a note of that. All the things we can think of, so. And again, there were facilities costs that were included in there, so when you outsource, those won't be there. So that may cause some extra costs that will be absorbed in the general fund. And then we just go over the long-term liabilities, just so you're aware. The serial bonds have been gone since July 15th of 23, but I just put it on there to say that taxes were reduced because of that. Because that service tax levy isn't there, we haven't had a tax levy. So then net pension liability, you have no control over that, that's for PERS pension only. Finance purchases, each year you buy equipment through the PCIA, and all of those payments are budgeted in the general fund. What you did with preschool expansion program, the capital part of that, that's all being done through PCIA, so those lease payments are gonna be in the general fund, but I think there's a cap exception for them. We'll go through that because when that all came through, I kept saying, how's this gonna work, how's this gonna work, how is this gonna serve the district? So I will communicate that to Jenny, I had seen that. So just talking about the referendum and, you know, what are eligible costs and what aren't. And we have 2 new government accounting standards coming up next year, GASB 103 and 104. We are aware of them, we know a little bit about them, but usually in May we start doing the research on them, we educate our clients. We go to the conference in June for the school business administrators, and we are doing a program on that in June. So we will keep in tune with that. And then we had some findings and recommendations. So we do the ESERT 1, it's submitted by March, we look at it. These are some of the high administrative positions in the district. And so we selected one individual, and the new rate came through, it's a little bit higher for the Medicare, and I said, I'll just let them know. And then I said, well, with some of the things that are changing, it might be good just to make it, you know, put it in writing that it was just one incident, and that the district is aware, and it will be corrected, I feel. Everything always has here. General ledgers for all funds, again, that was because of the change in staff, trying to keep up with the day-to-day. Even though they know what they're doing, they're not familiar with the exact procedures that are followed in every single school district. So because they were getting cash straightened out and everything else, we said, once you get cash improved, we'll be good, and then we can go through. What are the receivables? We can find all that documentation here. And so there were several more journal entries that we made this year, but everything is recorded, everything is good, and we received so much cooperation in doing that. Treasurer's report, so part of the problem with cash was communicating with the treasurer, and you know, there's a little bit of back and forth. I find that a lot of districts, the treasurer isn't independently preparing the bank reconciliation. They should be doing the outstanding checks because they're the set of balances outside the building to be able to say, hey, this looks a little odd. And then if the business office can adequately explain it, then everybody learns from it. So I just thought that that was good, and I don't think that was being done most recently. This has been something since the pandemic too, student accounts receivable for lunches. We've had some school districts that didn't even have a very large number, and they were being very aggressive about it. Threatening, you know, to send it off to a collection agency, and I thought, a little severe. But all you're trying to do, and again, you have your hands tied left and right, what you can do, what you can't do. And the kids have to eat, so we can talk to you about ideas. I know the county office always talks about ideas too, of how to try to reduce the student accounts receivable. And then again, just wanted a reminder in there that the net cash resources for the food service fund are higher than they should be, and eventually you'll get them back into that calculation. So with that, I don't know if anybody has any questions for me.
Mr. Kourakos.
Now, thank you for bringing up the referendum, and as far as state debt service aid goes, where it's 40% eligible of costs to reduce the cost to taxpayers, is there any end date there, or is there any anything in Trenton? Okay, so far that's still on the
It's
table.
always been that, but
Yeah.
what happens is sometimes districts will include things that are not eligible, so they're not T&E, they're doing turf fields or whatever. Mostly that's been talked about a lot over the years, and they're pulled apart and separated and not included. That's what could reduce your 40%. But if it's all eligible, the estimate is pretty reliable that you would end up with 40% of the cost being funded by state aid.
And in your opinion, given the capital improvements that we need, and since we haven't had a bond referendum that's been approved in over 20 years to finance capital improvements, do you think the Wayne Township District needs a bond referendum?
Well, this is another conundrum, because I know there are requirements, and again, I don't get intimately involved in these, but I know you have CUSAC, and they come through the facilities, and you have to have schools that meet certain criteria so that the kids have a healthy, safe place to learn. And so I'm thinking, how can you not pass a referendum if you have issues with roofs that haven't been done in a long time? And so I see partial improvements to roofs and whatnot. I'm no expert whatsoever, just from a financial point of view, I say to myself, with that 2% cap, it's impossible. That's really, that 2% takes operations and then some. And then if you have any maintenance or capital emergency, you gotta really pull it from somewhere. You gotta make some real concessions.
So you can't go a week now without hearing about the financial struggles of districts throughout the state. And you heard about Montclair and I think Hackensack, and you have Jackson, Howell. It seems like it's really becoming a very common theme. And what you're hearing from the news is, and parents, it's always like, well, who stole the money? Or why is, where did all the money go? And I guess from seeing it from this side, we see the constraints, and that 2% is always difficult, especially when you're saying, the raises are 3.5% and, all that. What are other districts doing at this point to try to resolve these issues? Because, Montclair is a $25 million hole they have to fill. That's not insignificant. And without some change to our aid, there's no real change that's really going to allow us to replenish these funds.
That is a great question, and one of the things I wanted to bring up tonight, so thank you. So everybody's facing this crunch, and I know it was 3 or 4 years ago, and Dana is the interim VA over in Montclair, and she has a company with Steve Robinson. They're very, very intelligent, experienced VAs, and Steve had said 3 or 4 years ago, when we were working together in the districts are just going to have to go out to referendum to fund their operating costs. And I was aghast. I was like, I can't believe he just said that to myself. I was like, oh my goodness. But I've been just seeing it since the last 3 years. I'm like, he knew more, and he had no fear to say it out loud, that it was just going to be very difficult. And so budgeting is difficult. How you're going to manage the district is difficult. The money wasn't stolen.
I know
And
that.
so, yeah, so so that's a great thing. What it is that sometimes, and this is my concern, there's been a lot of changes in Wayne, and we want to make sure that Wayne is in a good place. So we're going to keep our hands and heartbeat on it to make sure. But what happened there was a lot of change. And I had another school district say to me, board wants to know how we won't get into that situation. I said, number one, you have internal controls that are working effectively. The people in your building know their job, they don't cross the lines, et cetera. And the other part of that is people who know their jobs. So in Montclair, you have people that either, it just wasn't there. It wasn't there to the right level. And then you find out that there were contracts, papers that just weren't in the business office, things that were not disclosed, things that could not be found, that we could confirm outside. So I made that other district feel confident that I just rattled off the top of my head 3 things that make you different from that situation, and that should keep you out of it. So that's why got to keep our eyes, ears, and everything on the beat and make sure that we're all on the same page and we know what decisions are being made and how you'll go through. Doesn't mean that putting the 27 budget together isn't going to be difficult. Been hearing everything from 15% to 30% increases in health benefits. So again, talking about 2%, talking about over 3% in salaries and 30% increase. It's just mind-boggling how to do it. So my heart tells me the only alternative you have, because 80-something% or 90% of your budget is salaries and benefits. It's got to either get creative or find ways to make it work in the budget, which means.
If I could just add something to that also.
You can.
I know that with a lot of the districts that you specifically mentioned, one of the ways that they found themselves in that situation was that when we had the American Rescue Plan money, they were using that as a source to fund a lot of the salaries within them. So they boosted up their position control roster. So the position control roster basically takes every employee throughout the entire district, and it puts all of their individual positions, salaries, all that information in. And I know that I was contacted by someone from the state at one point for East Orange, which was another one of these. 'Cause just so you all know, I'm also a certified fraud examiner, so they wanted me to do some forensic work for them. And always before we start anything like that, we have to do a little bit of almost like discovery on things. So I have to look at everything, I have to get a bunch of records to determine what I can do, what my approach is going to be, how much it's going to cost the district, of course, in this case the state. But once I started going through all that, what I found was that when I compared their budget and then I compared their position control roster, they had a $12 million hole there. The $12 million hole that I had found was the position control roster had, I think it was $112 million in salaries, and there was only $100 million budgeted overall for salaries. So there you go, there's the $12 million. And I didn't just use 112 to make the math easy on me. I can really do math, okay? So just so you understand. But that actually, that became, if you look into a lot of those different districts that you had mentioned, that was a commonality, is that position control roster, when you took that total, it was more, not necessarily the entirety of it. Some of them had other extenuating circumstances, but that was a large portion of it. So going through your budget process, doing a good job and being vigilant with your budget process really is going to lend to the strength of the district and not finding yourself in such a situation.
So I would just like to, I'm going to start, I know the answers to these questions, but I'm going to ask them because I'm going to refer back to this meeting in about 3 months. So you don't work for the district, correct?
No.
You're approved by the state of New Jersey to audit school districts?
We're actually appointed by a board.
Appointed by the board. So the point being that this is the most important meeting that people from the community should be at, but no one ever comes to it. Because this is where, you find out that there are checks and balances and there are audits to really verify that the Board of Education of the district operates in a fiscally responsible way to ensure that the taxpayers' dollars are spent wisely, and there's, as to Mr. Faber's point, money not being taken. Because as soon as the taxes go up, or as soon as positions get reduced because of, an area in which you have an increase in fixed costs such as healthcare, which we talked about, and we're at around 30%, and increases in salaries, and everyone says like, well, salaries you should just reduce. Don't give a 3.2% increase. Don't give a 3.5%. But that's not the way it works in public education, in which you go to mediation and you go to fact finding, and you wind up just giving at least the county average or a minimum at best anyway. Otherwise, you're not going to have an operating district. So these are part of those fixed costs, and that these are the meetings that they need to be at, because when they find out that we go through all those things and we do have the checks and balances in place, that maybe they'll reflect back on that, or not be so vocal when you come into April and you're like, well, I can't believe taxes are going up. What are you doing with the money? Well, if you're here at the February meeting, you'll see that there is an audit, because there's always one parent at it, or a community member at a meeting goes, you guys should be audited. We are audited every year. So just let her remember, it is, what's today's date, 5th? At the February 5th meeting, the report was there, and if anybody wants to go back to the meeting and reflect upon it, you should watch the video.
Just to reiterate what you were both saying, our healthcare going up 30%, $4.5 million. Where's the 2%? That doesn't even touch it. That doesn't even bring that number down $500,000. And then let's throw fuel costs on it for gas and natural gas, electric.
Insurance.
We're done. And then it's a tough position, and we do the best we can within that position, and it's tough every year, and everybody's in the same position we are. It's no different, and the community says, oh, keep cutting. There was an article today in the NJ.com about teacher salaries and district in Bergen County, and they came flat out and said it. You want to keep good teachers, you gotta pay them. In today's world, that is exactly what it is. We can cut, you bring a new teacher in, and sometimes a new teacher brings great life into a classroom, without a doubt. But you need the experience in certain areas, and you have to pay for it, because in today's market, tenure means nothing anymore. They go where the money is, and they'll jump district to district. And then you're going to see the impact on test scores and everything else. There's a residual effect to everything you do. And unfortunately, money controls everything. The big S with the 2 lines through it. First thing I learned as a board member, controls everything. And the last question I have is the findings. You don't find them really
No, in
critical.
fact, that's where I am, and
Yeah,
I
I
want
mean,
to comment on that again
more
too.
more to the change in
Right.
from one BA to another BA,
Right, and that was
finally
just
into
the
a great
G-
big A.
The GL and the treasurer's report looking, that was never a recommendation before. You had people who were here for a long time. They knew their job, they did their job. It was very, very good. Medicare tax was just a new increase in the tax. I feel very comfortable that that's not an issue. And then collection of student accounts receivable, just to say it, because the
That's
number
tough.
was getting up there, and whether there's anything that you can do within, everything that you do, by the way, is with a squeeze on this end and this end. So you heard me say how in the Department of Agriculture, they tell you one thing and then they squeeze you from another end. So you're always between a rock and a hard place. So what you're trying to do is make the best decisions with what you have. And to the point about staff and salaries, again, I don't get involved in this, but I have a lot of friends who are VAs, and they just said typically the people who, there has to be a reduction, it's typically the newer staff that go. And it's not necessarily what you would choose to do. So it is very difficult. Nothing is straightforward, black and white, ABC, it's just not. So I have reported that you have very good policies and procedures that you follow, and then you're just not alone. You're not outside the realm of New Jersey where everybody's feeling the same things you're feeling. And definitely, I feel very strongly about capital improvements. I don't know how you continue to do them with nothing no money to do it.
Thank you very much.
Quite
See you next
welcome.
February.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
This is the mark digits to the agenda.
Under K, administrative items K, revised number 1, approval of mission statement to read, the Wayne Township Public School District promotes educational excellence by challenging students to become knowledgeable, positive, and productive members of society, and provides tools and opportunities for all students to achieve future success. Then we're going to add an item under X, emergent school resource legal, approval of examination for cause, recommended action. Whereas the employee ID 9336 is employed by the Wayne Township Board of Education, and whereas, based upon information provided by the administration, in the judgment of the board, the employee has exhibited evidence of deviation from normal physical health, which is adversely affecting the employee's ability to perform essential job functions. And whereas, as a result of the foregoing, the board desires to direct the employee to submit a physical examination pursuant to NJSA 18A:16-2, NJAC 6A:32-6.3, and Board of Education Policy 3161. Now, therefore be it resolved, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, employee ID 9336 is hereby required and directed to submit a physical examination by the school's district designee physician and a written medical report detailing the result of such examination to be provided confidentially to the board within 30 days of this date, February 6, 2026. And be it further resolved that the superintendent of school is hereby authorized and directed to prepare and provide the employee with the appropriate statutory notice of the board's action and the reasons therefore.
Thank you. This portion of the meeting is open for citizens to comment on agenda items only. Residents are asked to state their name, address, and subject matter. Comments may be limited to 3 minutes per person. Members of the public are discouraged from speaking negatively about an employee or a student. The board bears no responsibility for comments made by the public. Comments regarding employees or students cannot be legally responded to by the board. Other comments may be responded to tonight or at subsequent meeting under old business. Have a mover? Mrs. Mandry, Mrs. Pelosi. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on an agenda item?
See, no one move to close.
Mr. Faber, Mr. Paul. All right, do I have a mover for the agenda? Mr. Paul, Mr. Faber. Any discussion? One thing we do have on the agenda tonight is we will be forming a citizen budget advisory committee. The CBAC is being established to strengthen transparency and improve public understanding of how the school budget's developed and provide a structured way for the community members to ask informed questions and offer thoughtful, non-binding input. The committee is advisory only and will not replace the administrative's role in developing the budget or the board's responsibility to review and adopt it. This is in line with our district goal number 3. We will be posting on the Wayne Township Public Schools site at some point tomorrow. We're members of the community. There's a criteria for it, and that will be open till Wednesday, February 11th. And at that point, we will, the board will review the applications. The qualifications will be on the website, and we encourage interested residents to apply. Take a new look at put another set of eyes on our budget. Right? Anyone else, any other discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Heyman?
Yes.
Mrs. Lemandry? Yes. Mr. Paul?
Yes.
Mr. Prasakos?
Yes.
Mr. Agnes?
Yes.
Mr. Eloquin?
Yes.
Mrs. Rigoloso?
Yes.
And Mr. Pavlik?
Yes.
Motion carried.
This portion of the meeting is open to citizens for comment on any topic. Residents are asked to state their name, address, and subject matter. Comments will be limited to 5 minutes per person. Members of the public are discouraged from speaking negatively about an employee or student. The board bears no responsibility for comments made by the public. Comments regarding employees or students cannot be legally responded to by the board. Other comments may be responded to tonight or at a subsequent meeting under old business. Do I have a mover? Heath? Will? Anyone from the public? No, you sit down.
See, no one. Looks
I
close.
favor Mr. Paul. Any old business? New business? Board member comments? Mr. Pizzacos?
I just wanted to take this opportunity to offer, on my behalf and the board's behalf, condolences to the Olson family on the passing of their son, brother, husband, Chris, and a longtime Wayne Hills High School football family member. I also wanted to say I was at the Schuyler Colfax Middle School's Band Through the Ages instrumental concert 2 nights ago, put together by Mr. Vogel, Mr. Puzak, and Ms. Pascal. The 6th, 7th, 8th graders and the Wayne Hills High School bands were there. They put on an amazing performance. It was awesome. So thank you for the invitation. And it was open to the public and it was standing room only. So it's great to see that we're able to offer these great musicians and budding musicians this opportunity. And they did a really great job of exposing the middle school students with the Wayne Hills High School students, so that way they can transition and continue on their music lessons and their abilities. And what was amazing was Miss Pascal had asked everyone, stand up if you do something other than band for Wayne Hills High School, and everybody stood up with an extracurricular activity that they did. So it really it shows what kind of caliber students we have here, well-rounded students. So just wanted to put that out there.
Anyone else? Take a motion to adjourn. Mr. Agnes, Mr. Egg. Good night, everybody. Thank you.